What up, world? Welcome to another episode of the Knockin on 30 podcast. We are the millennial community. I'm Tony. We got Brianna, Delyn, Dennis in the house. Once again, your favorite millennial crew complaining about everything under the sun. Just kidding.
As they say, we do.
They say a lot.
That's what they say.
That's what they say.
I saw something on this weekend talking about, the guy was like, millennials, y'all don't know nothing about Def Comedy Jam. That's why we hate y'all. I was like, I felt some type of way. I like turned it off.
You
like,
turned it off.
Right.
I did.
And it was supposed to be a joke.
Right, that's an intense statement.
Yeah, come on, Cedric the Entertainer. Come on.
man.
Oh, dang.
Come on, Sid. Half the room.
Call 'em
supposed
out.
to, supposed to be frat brothers, man. Anyway, so what was y'all weekend like? What y'all do? Anything fun?
Sleep. Watch Netflix. I started a new show, All American. It's really good.
Oh.
You should
What is
watch
that
it.
about?
It's about a football player. It's kind of like a mix between Friday Night Lights and 90210, kind of, but like real hood, like LA hood.
Well, you mixed around by 3 different genres.
Yeah.
man.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Is it scripted?
Mhm.
Okay.
It's really good though.
I might have to catch up on that.
Yeah.
I've been seeing it like on social media and stuff. Everybody talking about it. I had a little Netflix time this weekend. It's a new movie out called The Trap. It has it stars T.I. and like Mike Epps is like the main.
Chris was
characters.
watching that
Yeah,
last night.
Yeah,
It's on
yeah.
Netflix?
It is. It's on Netflix. It's actually really good. Like, I'm kind of surprised it didn't make it to the actual like theater, but I get it. You know, Netflix is like, I mean, it's
That's
21st century. That's what they doing now.
Raising the price. That's what they doing.
Well,
Really? I wouldn't know. I don't pay
Yeah.
for it.
I slept this weekend as well. I mean, I had like a couple of things to do Saturday morning. I went to, it was called Coffee with the Commissioners. Yeah, and it was cool. It was just like Commissioners Rodney Ellis and Commissioner Garcia talking about issues going on with Black and brown people in Houston, in their both respective districts. I think it was like District 2 and another district. I don't remember which one, but they were just talking about like the relations that they're trying to do, and they had various topics that they covered, and like, you know, if they think that race relations are improving as far as like, do blacks hire blacks only or do Mexicans hire Mexicans only? It was a really good conversation.
That's real.
I think that their answers might have been like a little bit higher level. You know, like if you're there, it's like, I don't know if that's what it's like here on the ground. But I do think that they added a lot to it. So it was really good. After that, I just kind of like relaxed. I worked on different things, like things for the blog, things for like this, and other than that, I just slept, which I felt really bad because I was telling y'all earlier, I was listening to a motivational thing by Eric Thomas, and he referenced 50 Cent saying, only broke people sleep. And I was like, ooh, I'm over here like taking a nap, like resting all day. But it was like I needed that because my week last week was like super intense.
I think it's a caveat to that. Because what about if you sick? Like, what if you stay up and it makes you sick that you don't get enough sleep? And then what do sick people do? Sick people broke too, right? If you're too sick to work. Like.
That's true.
well, now I'm gonna kind of like qualify his statement a little bit. Y'all know I'm a huge ET fan. Like been to several conferences, and I see that kind of statement as like another perspective to say, like, just because you enjoy sleep, I think he more so is talking about the idea of being aware of opportunity than he is just saying, like, go grind 24 hours, get no sleep, and, like, then you'll be successful. I think it's this idea of, like, don't be sleep on opportunity in front of you, so, like, always kind of be, like, mentally conscious. But, hey, different strokes for different folks. You know, some people.
Put it into perspective.
Some people is like, I need my 8 hours, I get it. So, hey,
Right here.
y'all do y'all thing.
I like it. Go ahead and put it into perspective for Eric Thomas. I do love him, but it just was like, okay, maybe I shouldn't have slept so much this weekend, but I like needed it. And then I volunteer on Sundays for a church, so it was just I'm usually
I think it's
busy.
different when you're sleeping to avoid things than just sleeping to just like because you need it. Because like sometimes your body is like really tired. You're working, you're running all week. You need sleep.
Yeah.
That's what the weekend is for, not to go have another job running around.
Right.
So what do y'all do to decompress? Like, what do you do to? Is it just sleep, or like what's some things y'all do?
Nah, it's not just sleep. For me, I guess like having that like domesticated moment in the weekend where I'm like, man, like I got house chores and stuff. I don't really see that kind of stuff as work. Like that actually takes me away from work, because some people say it's like, oh man, I gotta get home and get like all this stuff I gotta do. That's just like, that's natural for me. So when I actually have the time to do that type of stuff around the house, I have a way better week the next week. It's like yesterday, my next door neighbor came in and was just like, "Dad, you in here like ironing?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm ironing up all my shirts for the week." Like, so it's that kind of stuff that like helps me decompress and be like, "All right, woof, that week is over. Like, I can now prepare for the next one." So that type of stuff like helps me throughout the week, whether y'all believe it or not. I know it sounds crazy, but
you said it, different strokes for different folks.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah, I get it. Okay, prepping for the next week. Stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
Exactly.
I like that. Yeah.
I feel you on that. I think cleaning is a little therapeutic for me as well. Like I like to, on the weekends, like clean up our crib, you know, it's because it make you feel like it's mine.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to clean this up, I'm going to fold these clothes, whatever. Ain't nobody else going to do it. So I guess I see your point there. Yeah. I actually came by this weekend. He's literally folding clothes like the entire time.
Okay.
It was funny. How about you? Come on, oils.
Oh, essential oils. I love essential oils. I'll get up in the morning and like put my oils on and then go about my day. Or I do yoga, meditation, things like that to like really like get my mind off of the work week or the work day and like really center myself. So that's really some things I like to do.
To decompress. Wine.
Oh yeah.
That's probably.
Yeah.
I like to. I don't know. I like to take that moment to decompress every single day, so then I don't need a day to decompress.
Gotcha.
Good job.
Because, you know, like usually all day I'm listening to like some sort of motivational podcast, or I'm like listening to an audiobook or something like that. Just helps me out mentally. Because usually by the weekend, I like to have like things in place that I really want to do. Like, you know, going to see coffee with the commissioners, that kind of stuff. So
brunch with my homegirls.
that kind of thing.
Oh,
I know
wow.
you were trying to be shady and messy, but you know, whatever. So
We working on it.
we're working on that. But no, like I don't know, because like those are the 2 days that I have off, and thankfully I get off at like 3:00, 3:30 every day. So I have a lot of the evening to devote to myself and things that I really want to do. So
Then it's lighter outside now, daylight savings. So.
right, but even before then, it's still pretty okay outside at 3:30.
Right,
Yeah.
For sure.
So
For sure.
yeah.
I guess for me, I started doing this thing. When did I start? I think I started last fall, where I would take one day out the week, which would be Sunday for me, and I would just not look at any screens. And I did that yesterday.
As I was trying to get a hold of you for
Right.
something.
and 72 other people. Well, 72 text messages. I ain't popping like that.
Yeah.
But nah, for real. And so what it does, man, it literally like makes you feel like you're in the Stone Age, first of all, because you literally like have no, like I'm not looking at screens. I'm not looking at Netflix. I'm looking at TV. I'm not looking at my phone, obviously, computer, nothing, like no screen. So I'm
Off the
like,
grid.
So if you just walk somewhere and it's on, what you gonna just run and hide your face? Or?
no, I mean, I don't like avoid it like that. But like Crystal, my wife, would be like, "Oh, let me show you something." I'm like, "Girl, I told you I'm not looking at screens." So I do stuff like that. But like it does make it complicated if you don't know these streets, like when you trying to get around. So like I had to take her
Wait, it
somewhere.
even applies to like
GPS.
Cause I need to.
Whoa.
I'm born and raised in Houston. I still need my GPS.
Hey, listen,
Whoa.
it's worth it
How
though.
you-
It
That's
make
a
you
commitment.
think about it though. Like what, 10 years ago?
Yeah.
Well, so what you doing? Printing out MapQuest?
No, I don't go places where I just don't know. Or Crystal will use her GPS if we're together. But
Okay.
I did just think about something. What we did yesterday, we went grocery shopping. So I used my phone, obviously, like everybody else. So I made my list
On
the day
paper?
before,
Oh.
and then I printed it out. And so I'm in the grocery list,
Hey, that's
grocery store with this
dedication.
list, right? And so
Looking
crazy
like
thing
somebody
was,
granddaddy.
I was, but the craziest part was that it rained. So I got rained on. Then my list, like
no.
half the list was like ink,
No.
the ink dried.
Yeah.
And I was just
Aw.
like, dang, this is commitment for real.
But like, so what do? You know, like screens like So you're not watching
That's the
TV.
problem.
millennial issue.
That's
dog.
the
millennial
problem.
Like
issue.
what? So what are you doing all day?
Man, I'm just reading. I'm writing. I'm resting. I'm just chilling. Like I may go on a patio and just soak up some sun. Like for real. Like get that nature in. Like it's crazy what you'll realize how productive you could be if you just don't have your phone.
Yeah.
Like it's
Oh, yeah.
crazy. So
Does the day go by like a lot longer?
slower. Yeah, longer. It's slower. It's a much slower day. Like I'm like, oh, it's still 3:00. What am I gonna do?
Wow.
Like it's really weird, but I enjoy it though. I got it from a mentor of mine. I didn't just
Yeah.
make this up, but
Mm.
yeah.
I think for me, if I adopted that, it would be in like increments. To where like maybe I time block for
Oh,
it,
yeah.
you know, because like mentally you have to like build yourself up. Like I couldn't just go like cold turkey and be like, you know what, tomorrow's the day. I mean, physically possible I could, but I just think like what that'll do to me mentally, like that'll
Yeah.
kind of throw me out. Like I want to be prepared for
I
that.
didn't
but-
start off with no screens. I just started off with no phone.
Ah, I
And
got
then,
you. You
like
built up to it.
where I
Okay.
don't like. Crystal was watching the movie you talking about,
Yeah,
the trap
yeah,
movie.
yeah.
We got ready to eat, and I was like, "So can you like pause this? Cause I'm gonna just be listening, and that's weird."
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. Okay. So
Wow. Because I could definitely do no phone. I didn't even bring my phone in here.
clearly, we had to
Yeah,
print
like
your-
I'm definitely detached, but like I almost feel bad saying like what would I do without the TV?
Yeah.
I don't even watch TV really.
Like what would I do without being able to look at something on YouTube?
Yeah, that's it.
you know.
Or like listen to music or
But it just shows you how far we've
Yeah.
come.
Yeah.
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 Because I mean, and I guess we were kids when it was the age of like you didn't really have a phone and nobody else did. And then you imagine like going outside, and it was just like the world was a different place. Like I get to ride my bike and play with friends, and I soak up all this sun. In the summer, I'm a different shade because I've been outside all summer, and all of that was like no communication. And then you just look at like how the ages and times have changed. I mean, now we went from dial up to Wi-Fi everywhere. So
Yeah, true.
Mad if there's not Wi-Fi.
Oh,
Man,
upset.
Hot.
Yeah.
I'm leaving this place. For the laptop.
and I'm writing a Yelp review.
yeah, right, yeah. I'm doing the Yelp review in the car before I even pull off.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I look forward to it though. Honestly, like I don't do it every Sunday because it's like sometimes I just got stuff I just can't avoid. But if I got a weekend, like I think I thought about it on that Friday. It's like, ooh, yeah, I can decompress and not because I had it bad all week on my phone. On my phone, and my screen time was just
Yep.
ridiculous. Like I was like, yeah.
Do you know what your screen time is?
So I looked yesterday because I get like my weekly report on Sundays, and last week I was at 6 hours and 13 minutes.
That's
I
not
think
horrible.
me too.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
horrible.
Meanwhile.
I mean, out of 24, so.
Oh, I am the social media manager, so really I get a pass.
Okay.
Okay.
What's the
No.
number?
It's like 7:30.
Okay.
But you say 24 hours. You're not up for 24 hours though.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's true. It's just.
So you got to take that into account.
Yeah. So for the
Mhm.
time.
Yeah, we
I
trying to
am,
make all these excuses for ourselves.
Right.
Like we ain't addicted.
Right.
But tonight we actually are talking about mental health and self-care. We actually have a guest tonight that we're introducing a little bit, but want to show a quick clip from a video that we had discovered that was really important about, taking care of yourself and letting your cup runneth over. And so, Mike, show the clip real quick so we can dive in that.
I say to my girls all of the time that your real work is to figure out where your power base is and to work on the alignment of your personality, your gifts that you have to give with the real reason why you're here. That's the number one thing you have to do, is to work on yourself and to fill yourself up and keep your cup full. Keep yourself full. Now, I used to be afraid of that. I used to be afraid, particularly from people who say, oh, she's so full of herself. She's so full of herself. And now I embrace it. I consider it a compliment that I am full of myself. Because you only when you're full, I'm full, I'm overflowing, my cup runneth over. I have so much to offer and so much to give. And I am not afraid of honoring myself. It's miraculous when you think about it. First of all,
powerful clip. Like, I definitely enjoyed that. And so I want to introduce our guest, Miss Candace Pinter. Did I get that correct?
Pittner.
Close enough. Close enough. Close enough. So I'm going to let Brianna introduce her because you guys know each other some kind of way, apparently, right?
Yes.
So
we both attend the same Bible study on Thursdays. And then I see her always talk about mental health and things like that. So please tell us about yourself a little bit.
Okie dokie. Well, I am a licensed professional counselor, which means that I do mental health therapy. Currently, I work in a maximum security prison for TDCJ with some very dangerous, difficult, challenging, but wonderful offenders. And outside of that, I provide a free mental health therapy group for the community of Houston for both women, and now I'm able to finally have a group for men. So in terms of mental health, that's me. I've had a passion for it forever. I've always kind of known what I wanted to do, which is a blessing from God. And so now I'm just walking in that purpose. So in terms of mental health, that's me.
wow.
Right on.
So what is your day like?
Oh,
Working
Lord.
in a prison. Oh my
Right,
God.
for real.
She's like, I can talk about this.
Right.
So my day is I walk in through the 7,000 checkpoints, which is good.
Yeah.
And so I'm actually on what they call the worst of the worst pod in the unit. I was on a less restrictive pod initially when I started, but now I'm on the highest restrictive pod. So it's the highest restrictive pod in the state of Texas. So I work with death row offenders as well as administrative segregation, which is we used to call it solitary confinement. So I do 2 or more groups a day, whereas it didn't used to be like that. But because they're so high risk, they can only be a certain amount of people in group. And so I do about 2 or more groups a day as well as individual sessions. Death row patients have to be seen individually, so I have to do them individually. And anyone else that, needs an individual session, I'll do that. Then I'll go write my notes. But I'm a very, very friendly person and a person who understands that my mental health comes first, because if my mental health ain't right, they not gonna get right. So,
No, just what Oprah was talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I talk with my coworkers a lot, and the officers. I love them. Love them all. So
Man,
that's what
that's
the day
deep.
looks like.
Oh my God. So what is a conversation like with somebody on death row?
This is PG-13 and above, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Millennials and up.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Great. The conversations with death row, honestly, my death row patients have been some of my nicest patients, I want to say.
Okay.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and actually, what really got me was when I was working with one of them, and he obviously has a death sentence, but he was able to come up with a purpose for life. And so to see somebody who has a death sentence have a purpose for life, I mean, that just shocked me, and I really just wanted to spread that word. Like, look, we all about to get a purpose in life, because if you got a death sentence,
Yeah.
and you finding a purpose in life, you know what I'm saying? And it was just through some natural conversation. But with the people who are administrative segregation, and most of the time you get that custody level, because of a lot of violence and whatnot. So my conversations with both death rows as well as ADSEG, once I break past them, trying to shoot shots at me,
Yeah.
That was
because it ain't gonna happen.
Never.
Once I get past that and start to delve a little deeper, and it's men, so of course it makes it even more difficult to delve a little deeper. We discuss, the trauma, a lot of the trauma that they've been through, what led them to commit, heinous crimes, murder, different types of sexual assault. Honestly, if we're being honest, some of them enjoy the sexual assault. Some of them enjoy the murder. So I'm helping people who have that type of mindset come up with or find a better mindset so they can be, living and breathing citizens.
Wow.
So given like the nature of what you do, I'm sure it's difficult, to kind of handle or like leave work at work sometimes. So for our listeners that may be in very similar capacities, would you suggest also having like a plan and a way to help yourself outside of that? Like, so I guess to ask the question more directly, do you also see a counselor beyond what you do for other people?
Yes.
Okay.
That was the first thing in the first class in my first day of grad school that they told us, get you a therapist.
Gotcha. Okay.
Definitely get you a therapist. It's actually it was my ethics and legalities class. So ethically and legally, more so ethically. You're not gonna go to jail if you don't. But ethically, it's ethically right for a therapist. And you know what? If I may, a lot of people actually ask. Well, some people, they might make comments to me or to other people like, well, why do you go to therapy? And how am I supposed to trust a therapist who has to go to therapy? Well, if an oncologist gets cancer, they are going to go to another oncologist. They're not going to perform chemo and radiation.
On themselves. That'll make
Exactly.
Right.
But because mental health is finally just now becoming in our millennial stage, it's just now becoming something that is seen as being real. People are starting to understand it, so I don't get offended by it, but that's the easiest way to put it. Everybody can go to a therapist, even if you're rich, even if you're extremely happy. Statistics have shown that everybody can benefit from therapy.
I just saw something earlier that said that millennials are starting therapy at an early age, especially even as they become parents or they have young children. Like, they really are seeking therapy at a young age. And so I guess that you're right, like, you do need a therapist if you're going through things. You can't fix your own arm if you're a doctor. So that was a great
a great analogy.
You definitely need a therapist, even when you're not going through things, because one of the mottos that I use for my free mental health therapy group is that we all have to handle life, so why not come and have a safe space to figure out better ways to handle life. Everybody has to handle life.
So regarding that, like, so what do you guys do in your free mental health? How can I sign up? What is that about?
Yes, especially men, please come on. I'm sending the link and everything. I believe
I'm being touched.
Under the table.
Right.
Feel some water coming.
I believe that my business Instagram handle, Healing Through Storage, everything spelled correctly, is I believe it was on the camera. But that is where you can find all of the information for it, as well as you can contact me at any time. I will be more than happy to send out the link. Yes, you are more than welcome to attend. I do have a male therapist who does the male group, even though I work with males, and I can very well work with males. Well, first of all, I'm doing therapy all week, and then I have my women to tend to. And plus, you guys need somebody that looks like you, who can delve a little bit deeper into the issues that men face. But it's a process group, so there's no one topic, there's no one age, there's no one race, there's no one anything. It's an opportunity for you to come and, like I said, have a safe space to learn more adaptive, more beneficial ways to handle life. So you can come with anything that's burdening you at that current moment, anything that was burdening you for the last 3 years, whatever it is, you are more than welcome to come talk about it. God has been in the center of the groups. He really has been in the center of the groups, because we've had no issues at all.
Wow.
It's an open group. Because it is free, and I would love to affect as many people or impact as many people as I possibly can. It's an open group, but it's not one where you ever have to worry about confidentiality. What's said in group always does stay in group.
Gotcha.
And typically we have some regulars who come back, so you will get used to it. But you can come once a month, once a year, every single time. It's completely up to you. So no
Is it
stress.
once a week?
It's every other Saturday.
Every other Saturday.
Every other
Okay.
Saturday.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, that's really dope that
amazing.
you're
Go,
doing
girl.
Thank you. Thank you.
And the fact that this exists,
Right.
I mean, I know that there's a pretty heavy emphasis on men, and honestly, just being a former school teacher, you kind of see it start early.
Yes.
And I think as we kind of look at generations and how much information that we're exposed to, a lot of times it does start early for that reason, because you're exposed to more. You know, you're exposed to more not only just at an earlier age, but you have to deal with it. You know, and I think that's the part that before you didn't more so have to deal with it. It was like you saw it on TV, you saw it in movies, but now it's starting to become more real life for people because it is, you know, impacting us, and it's right there in our hands and in our pockets. You know, it's not anything that you have to wait till the next school day for. So, man, that's and I do see the difference when it comes down to gender on just things that we handle as men, because we don't really like to talk about it. It's a pride issue. But when you put it on the table, I mean, the first step is admitting it. You know?
And first things first, you guys are human beings. Before you're a man, before I'm a woman, we're human beings. Point blank, period. So at the end of the day, I actually said this in my video trying to, you know, promote and advertise for the men's group. You know, if a neurosurgeon opens my head, this big old thing, and he opens your head, we're going to have the same thing in there, our brain, right? So, and I love what you said about how it's more accessible to us, because people think that, oh, mental health is becoming, you know, conspiracy theories. Mental health is becoming bigger, so you know, these problems have been around forever, which some of them have, but no, they're actually, statistically, there are more mental health disorders nowadays because we live in a more anxiety-prone world, and anxiety is the basis of a lot of other mental health disorders, or even if you don't have a mental health disorder. Which is why I actually started the group, because as a working class individual, a young individual, I was looking around like, okay, there's a lot of free and low cost and available groups for people who suffer from severe mental health, which is amazing. I've worked with that. People who suffer from addiction, which is amazing. I worked for that. People who are low SES, which is amazing. I've worked with that population. But they're not the only people who need help. They're not the only people who need help for low cost or free. So I was like, you know what? I've been looking for a group myself to go to where I can come in and out, but there was nothing available unless you have $200 an hour to pay.
Right.
I ain't rich. I'm good, but I'm not rich. You know. So.
I was gonna ask, do you think that the generation, our generation, the one after us, you think we put too much stress on ourselves, or you think it's really anxiety ridden? Like, what do you think?
I think that's like did the chicken cross the road first? Or did the chicken come first? Whatever that joke is.
The chicken or the egg?
Who came first? Wow, totally jacked that up.
I was with you, though.
We knew you.
But it was another one that went something about a road or something.
Why did the
chicken cross?
Chicken is the common denominator.
It don't even matter. It don't even matter.
Fried chicken, grilled chicken, it don't matter. But yeah. Because everything is much more accessible, and because, you know, they love to talk about millennials don't like to work. Not true. Y'all didn't have to do as much work. Y'all had to do a different type of work back in the day, which is great. I honestly probably could not have done it. But if you were having to just start out how we're having to just start out, y'all probably wouldn't have been able to do that either. I love my grandparents. I love my mom and everybody. But they're always making those comments. No, it's different, and it's okay to be different. But we have to work so much more. I'm not going to say harder, but so much more to live a comfortable life. And a comfortable life is just the basics. So to get the basics, I have to go above and beyond, like well above and beyond.
Facts.
That's very difficult. You can't even make it anywhere on a bachelor's degree. Everybody wants to walk around talking about college ain't for everybody. Well, American society said it got to be, or you ain't going to get what you need. Unless, you know, unless you're a wonderful entrepreneur, which God bless you on that path. But we have a lot more that we have to worry about with the accessibility, like you spoke about, and then just a lot more that we do have to stress about, a lot more. So that is what provokes the how we have a lot more anxiety, and more anxiety prone.
So seeing as though that you know are in a corrections facility and you look at that environment, there's something that environment does for the way we think, how we see things, etc. And just having a conversation with the gentleman a few years ago, he was coming out of the pen, so we called it, not even being aware of things that were just like an everyday news for us. You know, like he came out and was like, man, when I went into the pen, we were like just being introduced to iPhones. I think about where I was at that time when iPhones were just being introduced, and now we're well beyond that. So my question is, knowing that you deal with that on the daily and they're in this environment every day themselves, what differences do you see there dealing with your clients and your patients there than you do in the free session, where we kind of see a little bit more of the world? We're a little bit more exposed to everyday news and et cetera. Like, how are you seeing those differences based on environment and the exposure?
Very, very good question. It boils down to institutionalization. They're very institutionalized. They will tell you they're institutionalized. That's probably, for some of them, not all of them, because they're very intelligent, but for some of them, that's the biggest word they know. And they will tell you they know that they're institutionalized, meaning that the way that they handle things goes based off of straight behavior, especially the pod that I'm on right now. I know that I can get my way this way by acting out, by taking it, you know, rocking out, as they say, burning off, as they say, acting up. And so that's the basis. That's the first thing that they go to handling a situation. So it's a lot more difficult to delve deep into what's going on and how to change that behavior, because even if you do change their mindset with that behavior, they're still going to go first and foremost to that behavior. And to be honest with you, for me, even working in there, I'm very sober-minded, very, very sane. There's some things that I'm like, I have to tell you that you're wrong for that, but I know exactly where you're coming from with that. There's a lot of money is the root of all evil. There's a reason God said that, because it's true, because a lot of the corruption comes from the people who work in there. So if the people who are supposed to be correctional officers or therapists or majors and lieutenants and sergeants and so on and so forth are corrupt themselves, it's going to cause them to be institutionalized and know that I have to go crazy. If I'm not going crazy, I'm not being paid attention to. If I'm actually being good and keeping calm, I'm not being paid attention to. So a lot of them who meet me, they're mind blown, because I'm the first person who actually rewards and validates them for not rocking out, for not going crazy, for not taking it all the way. And so I mean I understand that. Where I come from, what I've been through in my life, I've seen how that can happen. Thank God I had a family and a mother who didn't let me rock out like that, but I could see how that would happen. So with the free mental health, the process groups, it's just all, working class, regular individuals. Not to say that they're irregular in prison, but, the everyday individual. I'm able to get to the mental health, like, okay, you're doing this. Let's figure out how we can do this in a better way that's more beneficial, more successful. And they're able to take that. Whereas in prison, you have to think a lot about the limitations and the outside factors as to why they go to that behavior. Because like I said, as a very sober-minded, sane individual, there's some situations in there where I'm like, I understand. Or I got to go to the officer and be like, this is why he did this, because he's been telling you about this situation and you didn't want to handle it until he rocked out, until he went all the way. Stop doing it.
Yeah. So are you seeing the inmates that are like having behavioral issues, or does everybody get seen? Because everybody can benefit from it, right?
Yes, everyone can benefit. So I forgot to say, so my unit is the psych hospital.
Oh,
yeah. So
okay.
yeah, it's not just, it's not a regular, that cleared a lot of stuff up.
I'm like,
sorry.
Makes sense now.
My unit is the psychiatric hospital. So just like the Free World Psychiatric Hospital, like Bentab, MPC, HCPC, so on and so forth.
Menninger.
We're the psych hospital. Menninger. We're the psych hospital for the prison system.
Okay.
So they come there if they admit or divulge that they are experiencing mental health issues. Yeah.
Wow.
There are a lot of other programs. If I worked at some other units, it would be slightly different because there are mental health staff at other units, but most of the staff, which this is a policy issue, which is something that eventually, I'm still young, but eventually I'll get up into that. But most of the other units, they house thousands of men. They have 1 or 2 mental health staff. And so the psych hospital, of course, is filled with mental health staff, which is wonderful. But even for the staff themselves, a lot of them don't have support at their units because they don't have actual programs. They just have crisis management mental health staff.
Wow.
Wow.
So you've really dedicated your life to this journey that you're on, right? Would you say so? Yeah.
Yeah.
You found it rewarding?
Very.
Yeah.
Very. That's how I figured out what I wanted to do, was because I thought it was normal for everybody to be a good listener and everybody to want to listen to people and everybody to know, what to say and people to be able to listen to difficult stories and not, take it on themselves, and just for people to care. I thought that was normal growing up. I'm like, yeah, you need a helping hand? I just met you 2 seconds ago. Cool.
Yeah.
Let me listen to everything. I thought it was normal. I thought that was what everyone was supposed to do. So when they say do something that you love,
Yeah, you found it.
Yeah.
I definitely did. Now, it still gets very challenging.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
got days.
Very challenging. I have to have a lot of self-care therapists, and aside from everything else that I do, I have to have a lot of self-care because it's very challenging, because you do it professionally and then people are like, oh, do it personally since you do it
Right.
professionally.
Right, right. Do you have that issue with your friends? They're always like, okay, so I'm going through XYZ, like on a professional level, because I hear that that's like a thing,
Yeah.
Like, do they come to me?
Right, as a professional, instead of just like, how do you separate like girl talk
So,
versus
like, boundaries.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, my loved ones know how I separate it, because they know the way I talk to them is not how I talk to clients or patients.
I got you.
Give them
Yeah.
the real,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, I mean, and I give my clients and patients the real too, but it's just more professional.
Yeah.
Actually, that's something I'm trying to adopt into my personal life, because in my personal life, I'm gonna be like, look here, sit down. What are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing? You acting like a fool. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, but I've been blessed to have loved ones who respect it. First and foremost, all of my loved ones know that if I know you on a personal basis, it's illegal. I could go to jail and catch a felony for legally counseling you. So they know that they'll never get like legal. Let's sit in the office and talk.
Yeah.
But I've been like this forever. I let them know I am a loved one of yours, and I'll always be a therapist. So you can come to me, but they know that the boundaries are different, because they know that I'm not going to talk to my patients or clients how I talk to them, but they know that, okay, this is what I'm going to get if I go to Candace, and I know at least she'll have some coping skills instead of just telling me, girl, let's go slash that boy ties. I'm going to give them something, more beneficial.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So you
Something
talked
like
a little bit about your idea of self-care. Can you tell us, like, what, besides going to a therapist, what that would include?
I love people. I'm very extroverted. Very extroverted, and extroverts, they get energy from others. Introverts get energy from themselves, and neither one are wrong. A lot of people see extremely extroverted people as being wrong because they think that everybody has an attachment issue. I don't have an attachment issue. I just genuinely love being around people. I can and will be around people. That's why eventually, when God blessed me with my future husband,
There you go.
I'm not gonna have an issue, because I can be around people all day, every day, and be perfectly fine with that. So for me personally, I am always on the phone, or I'm with somebody's over, or I'm over somebody else's house. And then if I do need that time alone, I take that time alone. But I'm in church 4 times a week, so and I'm gonna start scaling back, because that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
But all 4 of the activities I love doing. One of them is our Bible study. I love it. And the deeper, and I've always had a relationship with Christ, but the one that our parents told us to have and stuff.
Right,
Thank God for
right.
that. But now I'm
Yeah.
coming into my own
Mhm.
over the
Known
last
for
15
yourself.
years,
Right,
right?
yeah.
And so that's the main thing. I have to make sure that I'm connected to God first and foremost, and then He leads my path to who do you need to be around today or
Amen.
at all.
Amen.
Right, right.
So he does that. So like I said, for me, I work out too. I don't enjoy working out. I've been an athlete my whole life, but I've never liked working out. But I do it because I enjoy the results. So that's the motivation. I work out with people, and then I'm either on the phone with people or somebody's over. But like I said, I figured out for me what gives me energy. And it's being with people. So that I think more so than the specific things that I do, the message to take away is figuring out what gives you energy and figuring out what drains your energy, and avoiding as best as you can those things that drain your energy, and going towards what gives you energy. So if you know that you're both extroverted and introverted, that's fine. There's a way to find a balance in that too. Take your time, get that time for yourself where you either no screens or just on your phone, but you're by yourself. If you like being around people, get you some people who enjoy being around people as well. You know, so.
Yeah, I'm definitely introverted. That's probably why I can do the no screen things with no problem.
Yeah,
it's like that. I get my energy from being at home
alone.
She put that emphasis on it.
Yeah.
He had a wife.
Yeah,
that's not a lie. No, she's like, don't
he's
kill
like,
me.
I can't say that
I
one.
love you, boo. You can be with me anytime. Like even
Message.
still, like we kind of both introverts, so we can be moving around each other in the home.
good.
So, but I agree with that. Like if you, I've heard that before. Like you extroverted, you get your energy from people. If you introverted, you get your energy from being wherever you are in your own private space. But I wanted to ask you about self-improvement because we were talking about that in our show notes previously. Because what we saw was that some statistics said that our generation's average person, not the average person, but people averagely spend about $300 a year on self-improvement in some kind of way in our generation. What's your thoughts on that from a more of a self-care perspective?
That $300 was individually per person. Oh, okay, because it's billions of dollars. It's billions of dollars. There's a woman who.
Oh, that's a month. $300 a month.
Okay. That makes more.
Like,
There we go. I was about to say, add that up.
Yeah.
Right, I was like,
that makes sense. That makes sense. Because there's a woman who goes around preaching things that have no scientific basis, and she's getting up there to be one of the richest people in America. I'm like, okay, girl.
Really?
Wow.
Lord. But my take on it is that everything done in excess can be detrimental. If you eat too many vegetables, it can still be detrimental. You know what I'm saying? So anything done in excess can be detrimental. So I personally think that it is really good because we talked about how everything is overly accessible in our day and age right now. And so you're going to have your mind, especially with our generation, you're going to have your mind filled up with too many things. So if you're going to have your mind filled up with a lot of things, why not make it something that is geared towards self-improvement? Self-help book, podcast. And I used to listen to my hood rap music in the morning. Then I went to my Christian music. And now for the last year and a half, almost 2 years, I listen to sermons every morning. You see what I'm saying? So 99% of the time sermons, and then 1% of the time a motivational podcast or something like that. So your mind is going to be filled up with something. It would be better if it's self-help and improvement. Now you still have to balance that out and be careful. Because like I said, there's a woman who is she's getting up there towards the Oprahs and stuff like that, preaching stuff that has no scientific base, preaching stuff that actually is very detrimental. So you have to be careful. But when everybody went out and got Michelle Obama's book Becoming, I did the same thing.
Me too.
I actually hate reading, but I'm starting to get into reading. And so Michelle Obama's book, I read Joyce Meyer books because it has a whole lot of scripture in there, you know what I'm saying? So I feel great because I'm reading scripture too. So I think it's really good because your mind is going to be filled up with something. Why not do something that's beneficial?
Yeah, I thought it was dope how you mentioned earlier that our generation has to work more, and then you talk about now we got the self-improvement thing. So we working more and trying to self-improve, but it's like, man, we just keep hitting roadblocks and careers and stuff like that with previous generations holding us back sometimes. At least that's what I hear.
But it's like we have to.
We have to.
We have to work on that self-improvement piece and your mental health and getting those self-help books. And that's the only thing that keeps me going. I listen to it every single day. It's either a podcast or a video or an audio book. I'm always telling y'all about, what I'm invested in. So it's like you have to.
For real.
There's too much pressure and stress just because the world is evolving, which is wonderful. Technology is evolving, and as technology evolves, we have to evolve with it because we are the producers of that technology. And so it's just a lot on us to constantly keep up. which makes people feel like they are not keeping up. Even the straight A student who has even the valedictorian of Harvard emotionally doesn't feel adequate
Right.
Yeah.
because of the pressures of the world.
Yeah.
So, and it's because we have to work more, and that's not because we are less than, we're inadequate, we're not as smart as we used to be. It's because the economy.
Yeah.
Point blank period. Money.
Yeah.
Money.
That you need.
Yes.
Like you can't do anything without it.
You can't do it exactly.
Yeah.
You can't do anything without it. But there's still a balance to that because like me, I have everything. I have more than what I need. More than what I need, but I'm still able to be like comfortable financially because I never cared about money. As long as I had enough to take care of myself,
Yeah.
I was okay with that. And my mommy, my mommy, she instilled in me that money is not everything, and as long as you have enough to take care of yourself, that's what matters. And because of that really helped me mentally to remain knowing that, look, I'm adequate regardless of if I have the nicest this, the nicest that, the most this, the most that. I'm doing what I can. I'm doing my best. And as long as I'm doing my best, I'm adequate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I know most of us at the table, we all kind of come different backgrounds, come from different cloths, etc. And so just thinking about our listeners and our audience, what are some things that are just like accessible to everyone? Like, we're not talking gotta have this phone, gotta have this computer, gotta be tapped into this person, but what are just like some general things that you see from a field perspective that can help anybody when it comes to at least getting started to balance out their mental health? Because I think for at least millennials, and as we look at statistics, we had this one quote about in 2015 where the Pew Research Center, gathered a statement saying that like millennials are spending a lot more time and a lot more money, to Tony's point, on trying to balance out our mental health. And so just for starters, what would you suggest coming from the field to say, hey, if you just, maybe pick up a book or a podcast or whatever, like start here and you'll kind of find out a little bit more of what you're looking for. So what would be that advice?
That is a wonderful question. I may not be able to fire this one off as quickly.
I got you. It's a little.
Take your time, girl.
Yeah, everybody's different. Everybody's different. Yeah.
That's a great question. I'm gonna pick this apart a little bit.
Okay.
Honestly, it would be time.
Okay.
Okay. We all have time.
Yeah.
We all have time. Even when people tell you don't have time, you can sleep when you die. You're gonna die quicker. Okay. We all have time. One of the things, okay, if you have a career job, or even if it's not a career job, but they give you paid time off, sick days or anything like that, take them. Take them. Take them. Too many people, including myself, feel bad for taking that day off. But if companies understood that you would have much higher productivity if you treated your employees better, the world would be more productive, and we'd have more of whatever you're trying to produce if you treated the people who are producing it better. Yeah. So now I know not everybody is afforded that. You've got to find your time. If you take one day off, because a lot of us will think unrealistically. Before I got a career job that had paid time off and things like that, I had a job that if you took off, you didn't get paid. Okay, I understand that. I had to sit there when I was on that in that area. I had to sit there and think about, okay, how much money am I missing out on if I don't go in this day? Is my mental health more important than that money? Or if I miss out on that money, is that going to put me back even further back mentally? You see what I'm saying? So that's me taking into account all of the listeners, because I'm sure we've all been at those different points. Right. When I didn't have a job that paid you for time off, I thought about, okay, if missing this day or missing this half day or going in later or whatever the case may be, if I miss that day of money, is that going to set me back so far? Like, okay, if I can't go buy the new J's because I didn't have the extra $200, that's not going to set you back mentally. If you don't let it. For some people, maybe.
You gotta have it, yeah.
but that goes into what you said. That goes into us thinking that we have to have everything. If you have your basic needs, even if it's just for that one check period. If you paycheck period, if you have your basic needs, you will be able to survive. So then you think about, okay, it's okay for me to take this time to myself because I just found out this horrible news, or I'm just really stressed, or I'm physically tired. Whatever the case may be, I can take this day off. Mm-hmm. So you really have to think about, okay, where can I get my time? Where can I get my time and spend it in a way that it's not exhausting energy? Mm-hmm. Because sometimes, like for me, like I said, I am a kinesthetic learner. So it's not that I don't read and I don't do anything to supplement that, but I do a lot of hands-on stuff. But like reading is good. Reading the self-help books that I have now, reading Joyce Meyer is wonderful. Reading the Bible is wonderful. But even for me sometimes, because for me personally, reading can be exhausting. I know that that's exhausting. So if I'm trying to have some me time, I might not go straight to reading.
Right.
Because I know for me that's exhausting. And so if I know that I need to get away from things that are exhausting my energy, I'm not going to go towards something that may be a little bit exhausting. I'm going to figure out, okay, what can I do in this time? And that might be FaceTiming and laughing about some nonsense.
Gotcha.
Because that's accessible. That's no money. I don't have to go nowhere to do it. I don't have to stress myself out to do it. And it's not exhausting energy. That's giving me energy.
Yeah.
So I wanted to wrap up the conversation on this note. So there's probably somebody out there who's probably never seen a therapist, or they probably may just be like, I don't have mental health issues, I don't want to do all that. It may just be having a negative connotation about it in general. But I want to ask you to explain or tell someone, like, when do you, as a person, like, when do you think it's time to go see somebody? Like, if you're a person out there and you're debating, considering it, or it's in the back of your mind, you're like, I'm not going, what's the threshold to make someone say it's time?
Right now.
That's a good answer.
I'm serious.
Yeah.
Right now. The reason I say that is because, of course, I've seen it while working in the field. I've seen it from my personal perspective, going through therapy as I was growing up. And the statistics show it. Science shows it. Everybody loves science. Don't nobody believe nothing without some facts. So the facts prove that even the happiest people who attend therapy are happier. The richest people who have no monetary or financial stress go to therapy and they're happier. You don't have to have a mental health disorder. That's one of the reasons why I do my group. Because like I said, I was looking for a place to be able to go where you don't have a mental health disorder, but you still need some help because you're a human being. And you do not have to have a mental health disorder, whether you do or you don't. You do not have to have been in the worst of the worst traumatic situations to go. You can genuinely be okay. You can be a little stressed. You can be a lot stressed. You can go. You can find somebody, especially nowadays. I thank God that the field is growing. There are black male therapists. There are black women therapists. There are Hispanic therapists. There are Asian therapists. We know white therapists. Yeah. There are people that you can find. Look for those resources. Just like if you go to school and you're looking for a scholarship, it's not going to be the easiest thing, especially because the field is still finally being recognized and growing and whatnot. It may not be the easiest thing, but what is even harder is staying in the same position that you're in right now. True. Even if that situation is good. My situation is great. I'm going to go to therapy. You know what I'm saying? So honestly, if I work very hard to provide resources. If it's outside of me, I work very hard to still provide resources to people because I want everyone to know that it is a great idea. Like I said, everyone has to handle life. So why not go and get a safe space? A safe space to handle life. Because even if you have a beautiful marriage, that might not always be the safest space. Even if you have a beautiful relationship with your family, might not always be the safest space. Your profession might not be the safest space. Your academic place, your Bible study, your church, it might not be the safest space at all times.
Yeah.
So go get you a safe space where you can figure out more beneficial and successful ways of handling life. That goes for everybody. Across all generations, across all races, across all ages.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
Well
good.
said.
Yeah.
Yeah. Snaps.
Yeah,
Snaps.
that's
Can
good.
you tell the people where they can find you on social media? And,
Yes. My business page is Healing Through Storage. Everything is spelled correctly. I am very bad at spelling things without writing them down, so I'm not even going to embarrass myself. But Healing Through Storage. Storage is STORGE. It's a type of love. It explains it on the page, what it means as well. But Healing Through Storage has all of the Eventbrite registrations, the descriptions, as well as just positive and uplifting and empowering notes for you. Also, you can find me on Facebook, which has a lot of my information. My Facebook is private, but the post about different therapeutic resources are always public. That's Candace Nicole, KHANDYCENICOLE. So that's how you can find me.
Already.
Thank you.
Well,
Yes.
thank you again for joining us.
Thank you.
We had a
Yeah.
great,
Really
wonderful
appreciate it.
conversation. You dropped some major nuggets.
Yes.
So
I know.
definitely going to be picking some of those up for the rest of the week.
Right,
Yeah.
rewatch this myself.
Yeah.
Just
Right,
anything
yeah.
I missed,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
Right, for real.
I
Okay.
appreciate you all very much for even allowing me to come on here. That's one thing that I'll never take for granted. I will never get so bigged up in the head that I'm too good or too big for anything. Like, this is really a genuine passion of mine to even be able to come speak. So I thank you guys so much for
yeah.
even providing this opportunity.
Thank you.
no
Thank you
doubt.
for being here.
you.
No doubt.
So you can catch the Millennial Community's Knockin' on 30 podcast on Anchor, iTunes, SoundCloud, and YouTube. Catch us every Thursday at noon. Follow us on social media at the Millennial Community. We'll see you on the next show. Peace out.